Okay, call to order the Lowell City Council regular meeting for October 20th at 7:01 p.m. Roll call, please.
Mayor Bennett,
Here.
Councilor Harris,
Here.
Councilor Stratus,
Present.
Councilor Drott,
Here.
Councilor Myers,
I'm here.
We have a complete group and a quorum. Stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First off is the approval of the agenda. That they want to change, add, or subtract? Okay, not hearing anything. The first item up is the consent agenda, and that's on page 3. Okay, consent agenda. Council members may request an item be removed from the consent agenda to be discussed as the first business item of the meeting. The consent agenda tonight includes the City Council regular meeting minutes for September 15th, 2020, City Council special meeting and executive session minutes from September 22nd, 2020, financial report for August 20th, and check register for September 2020. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and second. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda as presented signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Not hearing any. Next up is the public comments. Does the public like to speak? We have Paul O'Regan.
Yep. My name is Paul O'Regan. I'm at 62 East 3rd, and I have a question more than anything else. I'm hoping that when you are interviewing the future administrator or interviews, and I'm certain you'll probably be asking questions about their experience with grant writing. And I would hope you would also ask them a question about city code violators and what they would do about it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, those are two ongoing, both grant submissions and code enforcement. Okay. And they would definitely be a topic. We have anybody else?
So, Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
so I have some comments there related to new business item 1. And I'm wondering if I can save those comments till just prior to that agenda item.
Okay, we can do that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next up is the city administrator's report. That's on page 75. Ms. Miller, please.
thank you, Mayor Bennett and Council. In the report this month, the first item is the TGM Land Development Grant Code Update, which was part of a grant that we got from the state. We are moving forward with that. We've prepared a public involvement plan, a tentative schedule, created a website that's on the Lowell page where people can sign up for information. There's not a lot of information up there so far, except the grant, but as soon as we have any code work, that will be posted there. People can sign up to get emails and to be on the subscription list. The next steps are that Lane Council of Governments is working on a code amendment matrix. And I've been working on putting together a code committee. And I have about 4 members so far. I have someone from the school district. I have someone from the Grange. I have a business, local business. And I have a couple calls out for a bicycle enthusiast and waiting to hear for someone from fire. But anyway, that's the next step. Main Street and Lakeview, as you know, are finished, except for the striping and the sidewalks, which unless they went in today, I didn't go down there today, but so those are both coming to fruition. The striping will be done in the next 2 weeks. Great news, though, we received our final approval, thank goodness, from the Business Oregon, which has been kind of a heavy lift. But the award was granted. It's for $268,450 at an interest rate of 2.19% for a term of 20 years. So, and the award letter and the summary are in your packet if you'd like to see them. So that was, we've been waiting and struggling a bit to get that grant approved. So that was really good news. The purchase of the 2 Main Street properties has been complete, and we have an occupancy agreement for the previous owners through the end of December. We've received our first rental, I guess it's a rental for that property, so that's going well. Maggie Osgood Library update. We've gotten additional, almost $1,200 additional money in private donations for that project. We did submit letters of support, and we now have a timeline. We're supposed to hear from the Ford Foundation by the end of November. So at least we know we have something, a timeline to look forward to there.
Very good.
Let's see. The city received a Gold Safety Award for no accidents from our county insurance program. Again, I think this is something that the city's done a great job on. So kudos to staff for staying safe, not getting hurt. Then next, the coronavirus update. I'm sure that you've heard a lot of this also, but the cases in Lane County have really spiked. They've more than doubled in the last month. And as of, even since the time that I wrote this report, the county has now been put on the governor's watch list. And what this means is that they'll look at the numbers for about 3 weeks, well, 3 weeks minimum. And if the numbers have not gone down, they could possibly institute more restrictions. So that's where we are on that. The Lane County Board of Commissioners and Lane County Health have been enlisting help from the cities in terms of getting word out for what people can do to be safe, to get our numbers down, and to get our businesses open, or at least to stay open and get the schools open. And those messages are simply, wear a mask, social distance, good hygiene, washing hands frequently, and avoiding gatherings. So they're hoping that all the small cities in the county will do their best to get the word out to their constituents on that. Let's see, tourism grant. The Board of Commissioners did award the annual tourism grant from the RTMP funds, and our distribution is $10,274, which is a little more than was budgeted for, so that's good. And then Oregon OSHA has their new temporary standards, which go into effect on November 3rd. And I'm not going to go into all of those. You can see them on the OSHA website, but they are a little more restrictive, not a lot, but a little more restrictive about workplace and what we need to do in workplace, which I think we're pretty much doing a good job on that now. But anyway, that's, those will go into effect on November 3rd. Any questions or comments? Man, these are hot.
Okay, not hearing any public works, Mr. Baker?
Mayor Bennett Council, staff report. Last month, thank you for my correction, by the way.
Oh, that's fine.
So streets and parks, Blow's report for last month on the radar speed sign. I did not move the radar speed sign. I'm sure most people that drive by there see it, still in its current position. I did not get a chance to reach out to Neil like we had discussed the last meeting, but I have been in constant contact with him the last couple of weeks. So we'll still work out a plan for that. And I'll run by the 2 locations that we've had complaints about and see how Neil goes about that. So here's your numbers for last month. Pretty close to the average still. We did go up 6 more people that went over the posted speed limit. Still, the maximum speed is 31, the 25 posted there. So I still think the sign is still doing what it was intended purpose of doing. Most of you have seen that the ADA ramp and push button crosswalks, excuse me, are almost complete. They're doing the final wiring today on them. Look very nice, so that'll be a good thing. I'm working with the contractor to get the corner of Wetlow and North Shore Drive mowed back a little bit for better visibility on that corner. Pretty bad corner. As Marcia mentioned, Waldish paved both streets last week. I did get an update today. They will be striping tomorrow.
Oh,
They will not be doing thermoplastic because of the warranty I told you about. So 2 weeks of cured pavement before we do thermoplastic. That's the stuff to heat down. But they'll be painting tomorrow and then pouring sidewalks Thursday on Lakeview. So be a few finishing touches and then we'll create a hit list and then a little bit of landscaping on their end of things. So that's good. If you guys haven't
We're
seen
gonna have
them,
the one-way signs and the
so that will
paint and
all,
all that.
yep. So that paint, that'll be thermoplastic. So that won't be here for 2 weeks from last week.
Okay.
He did call me this morning on that, let me know. So the double arrows, I ordered signs for do not enter on the east side and then one way on the other side. So
Thank you.
there will be temporary ones put up until all the painting and everything's done. Yep.
Thank you.
If you guys haven't had a chance, take a look. Yeah, it's amazing. They did a phenomenal job. I mean, both streets look nice, but Lakeview, I mean, it's totally changed that side of town.
I drove down, it's smooth.
Very nice. Yeah.
I'm gonna say, I drove down it today. It was wonderful. It looks great.
Yeah, I already foresee a few things coming up. The street actually naturally got wider because we paved the full distance that we've already claimed that we own. And with that curve, I think it's gonna encourage parking on the north side. So we'll get creative with signage and everything, and mostly just be education. There's a lot of room there, even with doing the work. We got the buses by. I mean, it's nice that it's gonna be one way, fluid one way, but I'd like to try to discourage people from parking on that side, especially during like ball games and stuff. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, it looks nice, coming together very well. So, good. Okay. Just scroll down here a little bit.
Hey, Max,
Yes.
could we not put some no parking signs on that side?
Yeah, we're definitely gonna have to. Then we get to the whole sign pollution thing, we sign every 6-8 feet. I think maybe even just temporary educating or something. We're gonna have to have a couple, but to cover that whole area, we probably need, 8 or 9 signs on there. It all depends on what we do with that, the mow median, with their landscaping plans down the road. But yeah, we're definitely gonna put some no parking signs up with the double arrows on them in the meantime, so. But-
Max, I would say if we focus on the area adjacent to the, the 50 yards or, 100 yards of the football field, the width of it, you're not going to see many people parking to the west end of that street. It's going to be.
Well, yeah, and you got the greenhouses and stuff, right? No, I totally agree. Yep. I think we'll honestly just have to deal with it as we go, and we can, use Neil and other Oak Ridge staff just for educational purposes also, just to let people, hey, this is the street, no parking here, so. Or paint the curb, yeah, that's another thing we could do. So we'll just have to address the issue when it arises and kind of see what happens. I could be wrong, maybe people won't park there, but. Any more questions on that? I feel weird not seeing my screen. Wastewater treatment plant collections, staff did remove all the green waste from the drying pad. We've been talking about this for a couple months now. We were finally able to get some equipment in there. Apparently, during the pandemic, everybody decided to do yard work at the same time. So we got all that cleaned up, got it in preparation. Now we'll just get some heavy equipment to get the solids out of there. So we'll still continue to do green waste. We just won't put it on the drying pad for the short time being. Water treatment plant distributions, still no non-detects on all algae samples. We have one remaining sample for the year. That's next Monday. Lake looks great. Dawn actually sent me a message. He was out there. Looks great for this.
That's good now. It's getting a whole lot better. There's still some in it, but it's much improved.
Yeah. We had a little bit of a busy week. This doesn't even capture the most of it, but we did repair 2 water leaks at the time of writing this. We had another water leak on Saturday, pretty significant one. So 3 water leaks, and then 2 more meters have been installed. So 4 new water meters, and then 3 leaks last time we talked.
There seem to be a lot of leaks over there on Main Street. I mean, is that something we're gonna look at probably in the 2-year, 3-year, 5-year plan to redo that line? Because, you know, all the way down to the curb there,
Right.
We've had water leaks all through there.
So the
That's probably
line,
one of, I guess, these streets real bad and whatever that
Yeah.
Main Street section is.
so as far as Main Street, as far as the actual line itself, the line is in good condition. It's just the service connections because of the age and time material that was used. And that's just a matter of, you can be proactive and fix it, you know, if you schedule it and plan it. There's only 3 more services to do now that we've done. We are gonna rerun the one that you've seen us working on Saturday, brand new. So we have a temporary fix there. Because of the type of material the pipe is, it's just gonna continue to fail. It's failed twice on me in 6 years. So we're gonna run brand new to the meter. So hopefully check that one off the list.
Okay.
Other places like D and stuff, where the main line is not in a good position, you know, either steel or PVC or something newer. You know, maybe down the road, when we get done with our water master plan, we'll identify those, but that's an AC line that will probably need replaced in the new services and everything. Yeah. Yep. I didn't put code in here. Code enforcement totally spaced my mind when I wrote this report. I did do a ride along Tuesday, I believe, of last week with Neil. We did tag several vehicles, mostly customer citizen complaint driven. So one thing that is going to come up, hopefully at the next meeting, hopefully we can get together by then, is a towing contract. Former CA and myself started this process a while back. Things just got kind of busy. The ball got dropped kind of on both ends with the towing company and with the city. I think it's been a long enough. We just need to start over. I still have the contract that the former CA wrote and the attorney, you know, they went through all the logistics of it. I'll send that to Marcia, have a look at it again, see where we need to be, but there's a lot of vehicles that need to be towed. I think we've been nice for a long time. So yeah, we'll be working on that. Hopefully be able to bring one back to you guys the next regular meeting for approval. That's all I have.
Okay, very good. Any questions on Max? Next up on page 83 is the police report. Next page up. The patrol log.
Any questions on that?
Anybody have anything? Okay, not hearing. Next up is the new business. I understand we have a comment wants to be addressed. A commenter.
Are you ready, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, yes, thank you. Mr. Mayor, councilors, and Madam Administrator, good evening. My name is Steve Paulson. I live at 520 Sunridge Lane. I am here this evening to offer comments on proposed ordinance 302, which suggests changes to Lowell Revised Code Section 2.623 related to membership requirements for the Lowell Planning Commission. The summary notes that the Planning Commission is having trouble recruiting members. That by itself does not warrant changes in membership requirements. The problem is not unique to the Planning Commission. 5 of your other committees are also short members. Also, I will note that Springfield, with a slightly larger population, currently has vacancies on 7 of its boards and commissions, including their Planning Commission. I oppose the changes to requirements for membership on the Planning Commission as written. Contrary to what the summary says, the current requirements are not particularly restrictive. First, with respect to the geographic boundary, it is common for cities to restrict membership on their planning commissions to residents of the city and those living within the urban growth boundary. They are the ones with skin in the game. We do not need folks from outside the city, from outside of the urban growth boundary, making decisions that impact us, but not them. We need people with skin in the game and on whom, for instance, a zoning decision will have a direct effect on their livability. Second, a key reason the council originally put the restrictions on occupation, business, trade, or profession is to prevent any one interest group from dominating the commission and to make it more difficult for self-dealing to occur. On a planning commission, this is primarily an issue with real estate related professions. So if you were to move this proposal forward, you could consider language similar to this. No two or more members shall be engaged principally in buying, selling, or develop real estate for profit as individuals, or be members of any partnership or officers or employees of any corporation that is engaged principally in buying, selling, or developing of real estate for profit. This change would eliminate the restriction on the other occupations, businesses, trades, etc. And if you had a larger planning commission, say 7 members, you might consider raising this limit to 2 members instead of 1. Given the overall apparent lack of enthusiasm for taking up positions on your commissions and committees, it appears that some marketing is in order. Give people a reason to be interested and make it clear to them what they're getting into. One mechanism for doing this could be to provide expanded coverage of the Planning Commission and eventually the others in the bridge. It would also be helpful if the city website showed the occupations of the current commission members. In summary, I recommend either no action on this ordinance or that it have further discussion and revision. Thank you for your time and consideration. Madam Administrator, for your written meeting record, I'll provide a copy of these comments electronically.
Thank you.
Okay, any questions from the public commenter? Okay, not hearing any. Next order of business is the consideration of ordinance 302 to change planning commission membership. Ordinance are a local governmental law. Every ordinance of the council shall be read fully and distinctly in open council meeting on 2 different days. An ordinance is usually introduced in the first meeting and adopted at the second meeting. Any of the readings may be by title only if no council member present at the meeting requests to have the ordinance read in full. If a copy of the ordinance is provided to the councilors before the first reading of the ordinance, the copies made available and copies made available to the public. What happens here? First, we have a motion for the first reading. We'll have the reading. We'll have a motion to have the second reading at the next regular meeting, which appears to be November 17th. At time we'll have discussion and we'll be voting on whether we take the ordinance as is. In the meantime, we can look at the ordinance and see if we want to change it, and we come back with it with a first reading for an updated change. As of right now, I'm seeking a motion for the first reading in total.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
can I make a
Sure.
couple comments about this request?
Okay.
We received this request for a couple of reasons. One, I think Mr. Paulson is right. I think we do have vacancies on all of our committees right now, and we have continued to put sort of pleas in the Bridge newsletter. As a matter of fact, this next edition of the newsletter, I've also put in another plea. This time I specifically said which committees and how many vacancies they had in each. So we have tried to at least kind of, encourage people to apply. The first recommendation for the change is because what the ordinance says is it says 4 members shall reside within the city of Lowell, within the city limits of the city of Lowell. And then the second item says 1 member shall reside within the urban growth boundary. Well, in the situation with Lowell, the urban growth boundary is the city limit. So essentially, I'm just clarifying, this ordinance requires all members to be within the city limit. So I just wanted to clarify that in terms of that request. Anyway, and I'll just leave it at that. Well, I guess the second one I should go on to say, how it reads currently is, it reads no 2 or more, which basically means only 1 member can be engaged in an occupation. And so the recommendation was to say no more than 2, which would also then not give sort of a too much weight for one particular occupation on the planning commission. So I just wanted to clarify what those requests were for. And then I'll open it up, for discussion.
Okay. Thank you. Any comments on what Ms. Miller said? Okay. Do we have a motion for a first reading?
Gail has a comment.
That's one. Go ahead. I don't have my thing up,
Sorry.
so.
I put my hand up. Maybe I should have, I was trying not to
Yeah.
talk over. Remind me, how large is the rural Lowell Fire District? I should know that, but
I can answer that for you.
yeah.
I know for sure. It goes over, includes Fall Creek is mainly,
Right, it's Fall Creek, right?
right? And we have members from the Fall Creek volunteer district already serving on some of our boards,
I'm
so.
sorry, I don't know that Lon was in.
Yeah.
I'm waiting.
Mayor Bennett, Councilmembers, Lon Drott with the Fire District. So the Fire District is currently 23 square miles that encompasses Fall Creek and Unity, as well as the city of Lowell.
Okay, thank you, Lon.
Have we seen, so the chair approached Marcia and asked for these changes. Was there a particular individual or someone that expressed interest in joining this, or are we just, is it just conjecture that we might be able to fill this seat or these vacancies, the two, if we expanded our geographical borders outside the city limits of Lowell? Are we just hoping that we can fill these by expanding that, or are there actual individuals that have expressed interest in being on the planning commission if we were to expand?
I don't know.
Marcia, if you'd like me to kind of answer that.
Yes, I would. Thank you.
Okay. So once again, Lon Drott, I'm actually the planning chair also that I came to talk to Marcia about this. Real quickly, hearing what Steve had to say, I agree with it. What he was saying about we want to make sure things are not put in other people's hands. But when I was looking at this, what I was looking at is no more than 2 voting members. When we have 5 voting members, 2 don't make a vote. So you still have to have more than that in order to pass these votes. And most of the stuff that we're doing is recommendations to the board. A lot of these things also. The proposal of maybe expanding the wording to say instead of UGB to be the fire district would still only be for 1 member. And that's hoping that we can get a little bit of buy-in into the community to help us build a good community that people want to be involved in and want to come out to. So it's not to try to give voting rights away from city. It's just to try to get a few more people involved. And as far as people being wanting to come in, This was just a plan to hopefully try to find more people to start getting into these committees so we can continue the city of Lowell moving forward in the positive direction that we've been moving.
Well, my thought is too that the planning commission, while I appreciate Steve's point of view, the planning commission is pretty darn important. And I think it's been struggling to have enough people to kind of work on it. So I don't know, that's just something else. And in my mind, you know, Fall Creek is not, we're not talking Fall Creek, Dexter, you know, we're talking a pretty small area. It's actually the school district as well. So, I don't know, I guess in my mind, it kind of fits who our community is. Well, technically it's outside of the city limits, but.
I did like the language that Steve said about the additional portion, just to make it more specific. I think it's important to focus on those who do have skin in the game and who, you know, this will really will really. But yeah, I think something needs to be done. This is an option, but yes, I think it needs to be very clear. The groupings that can be made. I mean,
So being specific about the more than one occupation in terms of specifically, I think what Steve referred to was real estate specifically.
right. Or a business owner or who owns half the town. I mean, and somebody else who's also invested in that same thing. That's a powerful block.
I agree. Honestly, I believe we've had that trouble in many years past, and I don't want to see that happen again, where somebody that has that much, even if they're in the city limits, if they are, you know, conflict of interest. Let me
Right.
just put it that way, conflict of interest. So
Forward, like we're doing.
So I personally am okay with the fire district being included, but how would we word that, the rest of that? I'm just saying that's my personal,
Right.
you know, I don't know how everybody else feels, but
I think Steve's comments and focus of the intent of the language, the verbiage of the measure are real important. Kind of honing of what the intent was to begin with, and you know, you kind of, you know, Samantha and Gail, you've kind of hashed that out here, and that is so we don't end up with somebody with a conflict of interest in specific industries. I mean, that would have a conflict of interest being involved in a power block within the planning commission. So I appreciate Steve analyzing that and kind of giving us a little focus on that. So I agree with Gail that and Lon that you know, I don't think I'd have as much concern. I kind of feel like the Fall Creek, Lookout Point, Winbury, Unity folks do have some skin in the game, even though they may not reside within the city limits of Lowell. Their children may go to school in the community. They get their fire services from the community. They shop in the community. You know, they get their mail in the community. So my concern, like Gail, doesn't lie so much in where we set the border at. Obviously, you know, not grabbing the city of Eugene or Springfield, but on the same note, having restraint on the real estate industry or possible landlords or you know, a large block within the committee is important.
so can I make a suggestion that maybe we table this tonight and we put it on our work session and reword that? Or is it simpler than that?
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean,
Okay.
just make sure that we really put the wording in there that we want. If we don't do it quickly here, we need to think it through. Is that
Mhm. That makes sense. We can do that. We can bring back, if Steve is going to put that language in writing to us, we can incorporate something and bring back a revised.
I was going to say, Steve was going to send that to you, so we'll have that available to us.
I have a question for Lon.
Yes, sir.
So Lon, you described the fire district boundaries. You know, I drive the borders of the boundaries quite a bit, going in and out and hunting and traveling and stuff. You know, in actuality, the fire district boundaries extend up West Boundary Road, past, I believe, the Johnson residence. They extend up the Winbury arm of Fall Creek to near the Reed Ranch. And I'm not sure if they extend on the Highway 58 to the east or not, up Highway 58 towards Oak Ridge, but it is actually a larger boundary than just Lowell, Fall Creek, and Unity, in my understanding.
So we do cover up West Boundary to about milepost 4.
Yeah.
And then Big Fall Creek to milepost 9. And Winbury to the cattle guard, down towards Springfield, we stop at the Jasper Mountain Center. And the lake, you're in the middle of the lake. So we don't cover any of Highway 58.
Okay. So pretty much what I was describing, but just not Highway 58 and a little further into Springfield than I thought, towards Springfield than I thought on Jasper Bowl. Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, as far as ordinance 302, it failed without a motion. We'll bring it back for discussion at the work session on November 3rd. Okay. Next item is city administrator recruitment update. Ms. Miller?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Bennett and members of council. We will actually be bringing back for discussion, we'll have an executive session on November 3rd to discuss the applicants for the city administrator position. I checked today, we currently have 4 applications. And it is the posting, said that we were going to, it's open till filled, but the posting said we were going to review on Friday the 23rd. So I'm hopeful that there might be a few more that come in this week. But as of today, we have 4, but you know, we only need one really good one. So, so anyway, I'm encouraged, but I am hoping we get a few more in just so you can have that discussion. So we are going to be scheduled to have that executive session as part of your work session on the 3rd. So it'll be a combination work session, exec session with the recruiter to talk about those applications and figure out the next step.
So what's on the 23rd then?
The
I'm sorry.
23rd, and the first review of the applications.
And is that between you and the, I forgot his name.
Actually, I think the recruiter is actually going to do that initial screening, but I'm hoping he will include, you know, let me know what's what.
Okay. Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I was making sure we didn't have a meeting.
Yeah, no meeting on the 23rd. But when we posted the position, we didn't want to have a closing date, but we wanted to have a date that they knew we would be reviewing, so people would have a target, you know, to look for. But we're leaving it open in case there, you know, in case we don't see something in that first group.
I was hoping we'd have more than 4.
Yeah. Well, I've heard there are 4, but there's 4 that meet minimum requirements, so that's good news. So keep you posted on that.
And looking at November 3rd for that meeting, do we want to do the executive session first for Ross? So we can get him in and out and go through everything? Because I don't know how long these other items are going to take. If we only take 20, 30 minutes, that's not bad, but if we spend an hour or so, we might want to, anyway, you can consider how you want to do
I could
that.
go with whatever works best for the counselors.
Like I say, I'd like to, I don't want to see someone sitting here for an hour or so.
Yeah. Does that work best? Can we start with that one? And is the 7 o'clock time still a good time for that too?
I don't know about everybody else. We could start earlier.
6?
Does it work to start at 6?
We
Yeah.
can do the,
I would prefer 6:30 over 6.
Okay.
okay,
Okay, we will do that.
we can start the executive session at 6:30. And then, or the meeting at 6:30, one or the other, and then go into the other. That way,
Okay.
make it easy on Ross as possible.
And will we keep that a Zoom meeting, Marcia?
Yes, I think we are doing that as a Zoom meeting.
Okay. I didn't see any reason we needed to. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Good. Next up, update on the Sunset Hills, and along with that, how many people do we have on the planning commission? Is it 3? So,
3.
okay, so we're at a basic quorum for anything that we do on that. Okay, go ahead, please.
This is really just more of a calendar update. The owner of Sunset Hills has requested a waiver of the time extension. So we will know on November 3rd whether or not we'll have the information we need to have a public hearing in December.
Okay.
So just kind of, actually, I think I have that at the bottom of the agenda, future meetings, possibility of the city council regular meeting and public hearing on Sunset Hills is tentatively scheduled for December 15th.
Okay.
Assuming that the owner can get all the materials in by the 4th of November. So I just wanted you to have that on your radar.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any questions on that? Okay, next up is on page 90, the State of Oregon grant for coronavirus aid. Miller?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Bennett and Council. The state of Oregon approved funding to state, local, and tribal governments through a grant used for expenditures for COVID-19. The city of Lowell, we were approved for $50,000 as part of the Corona Aid Relief Economic Security Act, or what's called the CARES Act. These funds are used to cover necessary expenditures due to extensive cleaning, masks, for example, the owl that we use for our Zoom meetings, etc. And the grant covers eligible expenditures between March and December 30th of this year. This is in your packet because it's just a precursor for a resolution that we need to deal with to do an appropriation in the budget. So if you have any questions about that, I did attach a copy of the grant for your information. That just outlines what the grant is and the amount of money, etc., and what the requirements are.
Any questions? Okay, I did notice in that we broke it out 10,000 for administrative help and whatever, 40,000 for the actual material. Are we charging them for any of our public works people changing, doing anything, or for the admin people for putting it together, or is that why the 10,000, or do you know?
I think that when we just divvied it up, we are actually ordering supplies.
Oh, okay.
So that 10,000 was just
Okay,
allocated
that's for supplies we're
in
ordering,
administration for supplies.
and the 40,000 is for the service company that we're using.
Yes, and also additional supplies for
All
public
right.
works.
All
So
right, then that makes sense to me. Thank you.
yeah, you bet.
Okay, next up is resolution 754 on page 103.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. This is simply to allow us to use those funds that we've received and to allocate them in the budget because this was something we didn't foresee when the budget was adopted. And Laylee, our great finance person, reminded me a couple weeks ago that this action hadn't really been taken to acknowledge this money. So that's why we have this resolution in front of you tonight. Just explains that the grant award is for the $50,000 and that expenses are compensable for those necessary expenditures. We weren't able to get everything lined up with the state until, wasn't it early September, Max?
Yeah.
I think it was really quite a process to get us into the system, to get us registered, to get us lined up. We finally were able to do that. And I think we've submitted about $13,000 so far for reimbursement. And we will continue to submit, for those extraordinary expenses. And we'll make sure that we do all that by the end of the year. Any questions on that?
And they say it was a challenge to get it set up. Part of it had to be, and in talking to Joyce, they had like Lowell City of with a capital O and and a small letter here, big letter there. And if you didn't key it in just wrongly, like they had it, then we weren't even registered. And so it took her for a day or whatever going through figuring out where in the world and how in the heck.
She almost decided it wasn't worth the time.
Yes,
Yeah.
she really did.
Oh.
But I have to say, she really did. She just pulled her hair out because apparently we had an old registration in there and they wouldn't let us remove that and do a new, anyway, it's a long story.
Yeah.
But I will say that since we submitted for reimbursement, that process is so easy and quick, and we got funds almost immediately. So we've all breathed a sigh of relief. It was worth the effort.
And here's the 10 and 40,000 that I spoke of earlier. I'd forgotten where I'd seen it, and it was in this resolution. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And instead, Max pulled his hair out.
Yes. Yes.
Ah. In that case, I make a motion to approve resolution 754 as presented. Do we have a second?
I second it.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Do we have any further discussion? All those in favor of resolution 754, a resolution recognizing State of Oregon Department of Administrative Services. It's misspelled. Grant number 1783 and changing appropriations. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it's carried.
Okay.
Might change the spelling in that word. Administrative services.
Which one, Bill?
What, do we have it misspelled?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, we do. Wow, thank you.
It just doesn't look right.
No, it does not. It has an extra something.
There's an
Okay.
extra something.
I will get that fixed.
I hadn't noticed it before I was reading it
I clearly didn't either.
until I was reading it out loud. Okay, any other business? We have staff acknowledgement.
I have
Ms.
one
Miller?
other,
Okay.
number 6, complaints and enforcement activity.
Uh-huh.
Just for discussion, and I think Neil might want to chime in on some of this, but we have really had an increase in the number of complaints around a number of issues. The vehicles, abandoned vehicles, also animal complaints, dog complaints, dogs off leash, dogs biting people, and also some around ATVs on public streets. I actually put an article in the bridge that's coming out this next month, just reminding people of these things, of dogs that they're required to have licenses, that they're required to be on leash, and also about abandoned vehicles and vehicles left on the street and vehicles that may be creating an unsafe situation or causing a nuisance, just as a reminder. And we have always enforced those things. We haven't always enforced other vehicles on the street. And that's something that we're hoping to maybe have a discussion and maybe get a little direction on whether or not council believes we should enforce that, move forward with anything around that. We haven't in the past. Do you want to add anything to that, Max or Neil?
No. It's just a huge safety issue.
Can I hear you?
Oh, sorry. It's just a huge safety issue for those little vehicles being on the street. I've seen it quite a bit when I've been down here patrolling. And I really haven't taken any action on it because I didn't know what the council wanted to do. And I make it pass 24/7, so we can't enforce that all the time.
I didn't mention the ATVs in my newsletter article so far, only because I really wanted to get a little more direction on whether or not we wanted to just do a reminder or, actually take some, tell them to take some action.
We can discuss that in the work session if the council would like.
Marcia, I think one thing is to focus on verbiage. I think using the term ATV if we want to truly capture it, we need to use more. I mean, are we talking golf carts? Are we talking, go-karts? Are we there's a lot more vehicles that could be described by motorcycles. By just using the term ATV, we either allow loopholes or we are showing favoritisms or retribution against a certain type of a vehicle over other ones that I think we need to be all encompassing or not at all.
About unlicensed vehicle.
There you go, unlicensed.
Yeah.
Off-road.
But whatever the language is that allows us to capture everything, we don't want to show favoritism one way or the other.
Mhm.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Anything else? I have one small thing, and this is kind of a well done for Max. There was a incident where I guess
He's all-
some dogs were fighting, and there was a child involved and stuff like that. I guess one of the dogs got torn up, and the kid got bit some, but Max stepped in, separated them, did a good job, put everybody in their own corners,
Yep.
and called the parents and everything like that. So thank you, Max.
Took the child home and
You looked,
He
you
was
did, you served
Superman.
the city, you served the city well. So thank you for doing that.
so yes.
So in my defense, it was my staff, actually. I mean, I was there, but because of COVID reasons, all three of us were in separate work vehicles, actually coming to a job by City Hall, and it happened right in front of us. So nobody said anything, it just happened. And then of course, because everybody cares about each other, it just kind of escalated from there. So, but yeah, no, I'm very proud of my staff, and like I said, that's a situation you don't think in, you just act. So, yeah, thank you, Mayor.
Well,
Thank you.
kudos to you and your staff.
Yeah,
Thank you.
The public appreciates it, and the city, I do too. And
We all do.
And nobody got injured and messed with our gold award.
That's right. That's right.
That's right.
We still got that safety award.
Still
Yeah.
got that
put a
safety
bandage
award.
on it and take it home.
That's right.
No, and I'm sure, speaking back to the councils that are underpopulated and big cities, little cities, this COBA is just taken a lot of the interest people have in being on committees, being out, being among people. People have now look at the world in a much different light than what they did a year ago. I think a lot of people live in a level of fear, and that's understandable but regrettable. Okay. Anybody else have anything? Have I missed anything? Our next meeting, November 3rd, work session, executive session, and Marshall will be posting the times and getting it back to us. And
And we'll start at 6:30.
okay, that sounds good. You need to start the meeting at 6, or you can start the executive
Exec session
session
at
at 6.
6:30.
Okay,
That will work for you, right, Counselor Stratus?
Yeah. I just need to have time to come home and get some dinner before the meeting.
Oh, yeah.
okay.
And I would say on something here, that I think, apathy within any community for involvement, whether it be with the school or the fire district or the city, or committees within the city, whatever it may be. I think something we need to capture on a PR level in terms of getting involvement is these changes, the new library, the paving, the additions of property, the possible incomings of commercial entities, the direction the city's going, future possibilities of a new city hall and community center, kind of a building that we've looked at, that we really need to get the message out that Lowell is, kind of turning a corner and kind of at a changing point in their history for a huge leap in growth that we haven't seen on a scale we haven't seen before. And I think using that as an advertising and a PR point and letting people know, whether it be pictures or words or word of mouth, social media, whatever it is, I think getting people involved and getting excited about the changes within our community, that, the energizing that Lon's brought to the fire department and Johnny Matthews has brought to the school district, and you know, Jared brought to the city and involvement of people within the city. You know, we had quite a bit of involvement with the Grange over the last 10 or 15 years in growth and productivity with the Grange and improvements. And we need to keep this ball rolling. And I think that we need that PR to get out there to try to get the involvement. I mean, we're always happy to get what we can, but obviously, you know, we have a lot of committees and a lot of things going on, and trying to get quality people in those positions requires more than just a single notice in the bridge or a, you know, at the post office or on the city website. You know, let's roll out a PR campaign to get people excited, involved, and active, and people that are, you know, really wanting to be members of the community and watch us make this growth that we haven't had in 50 years. I think that's real important.
I agree.
Someone? Yeah, that's going to be a major probably concern or directive for us when we get the new city administrator, that's going to be one of the objectives that maybe we highlight when they come in.
Sounds like a great interview question.
Yep.
How are they gonna do that?
Yeah.
Write that one down, Marcia.
I will.
Help us
Okay.
remember it.
Anybody else have
We
any
can-
comments?
We
Go
can
ahead.
take, I mean, you got, you know, a picture's worth 1,000 words. We've got pictures of streets. We've got pictures of new gymnasiums in our school and the Grange, which, I mean, if anybody's ever seen the other Granges throughout Lane County in the state, our Grange is a shining example. A picture of the Maggie Osgood Library, pictures of the drawings of future possibilities of the City Hall, and the signposts and the roundabouts and the things, you know, we've shown those a little bit. They, you know, they get a little bit of notoriety, but they really haven't been seen since the Blackberry Jam the year before last. You know, let's use those pictures and exciting words and get people excited and want to be involved in what's happening, because it is an exciting time for our community.
I agree. Anybody else? Community comments?
Oh, no, sir.
Okay. Okay, not hearing any. We're adjourned at 7:58.
Thank you.
Night, everybody.
Thanks, you guys. Good night.
Night.
Yeah.